Good morning, and welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I'm the Senior Minister and Community Spiritual Leader here. I'm delighted to welcome you, those of you online as well, and those of you that are coming in from the cold. Thank you for being here this morning. I see that you're in your masks as we have asked you to be, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So we're going to begin this morning. We have our wonderful guest musician, Skye Nelson with us this morning. And he's going to be leading us and singing for us this morning. So I'm going to invite you to stand and get ready to sing the opening song. But I want to remind you that midway through this opening song, we're going to pause it while you go around and say good morning to each other. So you can wander and say hello to people. And then when we start singing again, come back to your seats and we'll finish the song and then we'll go on. All right? So please stand and join us. Skye's going to lead you in this opening song, which he wrote.
Morning, everybody. How's it feel this morning? I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna let the joy wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna let the love flow out of me. I'm gonna let the love wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the love flow out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. Is it a precious day? Isn't it beautiful this morning? Great day to be alive. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna let the laughter wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day.
Wander around, tell each other hello, wish each other a great day and Merry Christmas. And you two online, go ahead and say hello to each other if you're with somebody. And give us a wave, give us a comment online if you like. That way we'll know you're here. Tell us where you're from and what's going on for you today. Let's pick it up where we'll start at the beginning again.
I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna let the laughter wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna let the laughter wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day.
All right, come on back. And you can go ahead and be seated. Thank you. I'm going to invite you to silence your cell phones. You don't have to turn them off. Just make sure that they vibrate rather than ring. And we will prepare ourselves now inwardly for the meditation song and the opening prayer, which is going to be spoken by prayer practitioner Rachel DePaula this morning. So let's go within.
I am letting go. I am letting God. am fully alive. Spirit by my side. I am letting go. I am letting God. I am fully alive. Spirit by my side. I am letting go. I am letting God. I am fully alive. Spirit by my side. I am letting go. I am letting God. I am fully alive. Spirit by my side. Spirit by my side. Spirit by my side.
Skye Nelson Isaacs to you this morning. We met many years ago now. Skye was my music director when I was doing the Global Heart Center for Spiritual Living, the smaller church in Santa Rosa for a while, and has been around the movement quite a bit ever since. But he's also a physicist as well as a musician, and he's working on the physics of synchronicity, how we, through our intentions and our actions, create what it is that we want to create in our lives. And he's written a couple of books. I think, do you have some here available for sale today, Skye? So one is called The Flow, I think.
Living in Flow.
Living in Flow. And then
Leap to Wholeness.
Leap to Wholeness. Leap to Wholeness is the new one. They're both wonderful books about this process and about how we engage it. So you might want to talk to him about that afterwards, or even pick up one of those books. He'll be here after the service. But for now, let's welcome Skye Nelson Isaacs.
I'm gonna live in love. I'm gonna do what it takes to let go. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. Everything that I look at, I get attached. And I'm not gonna give weight to the wounds of my past. When it's me that will lose if I choose to resent what I have. But since I've got another chance, I'm gonna live in love. I'm gonna do what it takes to let go. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. You know what I'm talking about? Everything that I look at, I get sucked in. And I'm already miles beyond it by the time I begin. And the details of the moment are already the past. Since I've got another chance, I'm gonna live in love. I'm gonna do what it takes to let go. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. Yeah, I'm gonna hold your heart as precious as anything that I know. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. I'm gonna live in love. I'm gonna do what it takes to let go. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. Yeah, I'm gonna hold your heart as precious as anything that I know. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. I'm gonna take my seat and let love run the show. Thank you. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Skye. All right. Well, here we are, almost at Christmas, almost at the Winter Solstice. We have our Yuletide celebration coming up on Wednesday. And this is, coming toward the end of now 2021. Our theme has been Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And so we've been looking at that kind of throughout the themes throughout the year, which means taking the ancient wisdom and what we're looking toward and bringing those things together in our living and in our understanding. So not only living out of the past, not only living for the future. And the month of December is about the journey of becoming. As we come into this longest night, shortest day of the year, the dark season of the year, we're also entering into a turning of the year, a turning of the season. So this week we turn from fall into winter, and we're also coming into the sacred turning of the year, which is moving into the new year. And so today we're embracing the sacred turning of the year. And the thing that happens with the turning of the year is that it moves in a circle. So we experience our seasons, our day and night, the movement of the planets. As Ernest Holmes would say, everything in nature moves in circles. And we notice that in some spiritual traditions, the circle gets emphasized as well. Our teaching symbol is a circle, right? With the descent of spirit in the middle of it. We've got the Buddhist wheel of Dharma. We've got the medicine wheel of Native American tradition. So we recognize that nature moves in circles, whether it's the unfurling of a fern or it is the movement of the planets. We're seeing that circular activity going on. And this is a little bit unusual for me because generally I start with a joke, right? But because it's the fourth Sunday of Advent and the theme for the day is love in that fourth Sunday, I wanted to actually share two stories with you today, and that takes a little bit of time. But because of the emphasis on the mystery of the season, the turning of the season, and the theme of love, it was important for me to do this. So the first story comes from Robert Fulghum, which you may know is a favorite writer of mine, from his book, Uh-Oh. And this is about a particular Christmas Eve event. So he says, for the midnight church service one Christmas Eve, I wanted to read an old story from long ago about a wandering juggler who happened into a monastery in deep winter and asked for refuge. You may know this story. If memory serves me well, I think it's a French tale called Our Lady's Juggler. The story says that the monks were busy making gifts to lay before the high altar of the monastery chapel in honor of the Virgin Mary. And because if she was pleased, her statue would shed a tear of compassion for humanity. But when the gifts were presented at the Feast of the Nativity, the statue did not respond. In the middle of the night, a juggler who had thought he had no gift to give went in alone and juggled before the statue, and juggled to the very limit of his ability. And to make a long story short, the statue of the Virgin Mary shed a tear, and the baby Jesus in her arms smiled, because the juggler had given everything he had, holding back nothing in his generosity. So goes the story. So my little commentary here before I go on is, the message in this is how valuable it is for us to give our whole selves when we give the gift of ourselves, which is really what this season is about, is the gifting of ourselves. It looks like it's all wrapped things and stuff like that, but it's really ourselves that we're giving. So here's where his story goes from here. Robert Fulghum says, to bring this story to life, I wanted to have a real juggler perform for the congregation first, and then I tell the story and turn it into my Christmas sermon. A little show business pizzazz for the midnight service. When the time for the service came, though, the juggler had not arrived. Not until the middle of the second carol did I see him working his way up the crowded side aisle. But no costume. I had specifically asked him to wear his jester outfit, and no juggling equipment either. What a disappointment. So much for miracles at midnight. While the congregation headed into the last verse of A Little Town of Bethlehem, the juggler and I held a whispered conversation. His car had been stolen, with all of his possessions and equipment. But not to worry, a friend had brought him and would take him home afterward. In the meantime, he had an idea. All I had to do was tell the story, and he, the juggler, would take it from there. No time to argue. The carol was done. The service had to go on. I assumed that when it came time for his performance, the juggler would explain his circumstances and use some things he'd found in the church kitchen for a short act. Reasonable enough. However, Christmas Eve is not a time for reasonableness. I ought to know that by now. So I read the story. And the juggler stepped into the light from out of the congregation. Slim young man, the wiry athletic kind, black tennis shoes, jeans, green turtleneck shirt, solemn expression, freckles on his face. In place of the expected makeup, longish brown hair, nothing special to look at, and no tools of his trade. He smiled and began his routine. In fact, he went through his entire routine just as if he had brought the balls and clubs and knives and scarves with him. We had all seen enough juggling to know what was going on, and in each part of the routine, he went one step further than he had ever juggled before or we had ever seen. 7 balls is supposed to be the limit for the very best professional juggler. Our guy did 8, and we knew it when he did it, and applauded the moment of triumph. On through 12 silk scarves in the air at once, and 7 knives, and we even knew when he set his torches on fire and got 8 torches in the air all at once and caught them without burning himself. We laughed and shouted encouragement and applauded this remarkable performance. We couldn't see it, but we believed it. We gave him a standing ovation on Christmas Eve in a church, a standing ovation. He held up his hand for silence, and the congregation sat down. The juggler wasn't through. He was going to do an encore. He started juggling things we could not quite recognize. Chickens? Birds? Some kind of tree? Rings, 1 off of each finger. 5 golden rings. Got it, the 12 days of Christmas. He was going to juggle one of everything in the 12 days of Christmas. The partridge, the pear tree, and the rest. Impossible. But he was doing it. A swan, a goose, and an egg. I was thinking he'll never get the maiden cow off the ground. But he did it. After that, the leaping lady, the dancing lord, and the drum with drummer were a piece of cake. Every gift was in the air, way, way up in the air, because this was a lot of stuff. And as each piece came around, we knew what it was and shouted out its name as he caught it and threw it back in the air again. Fantastic. Nobody had ever done this before. The juggler was laughing. The congregation cheered like a crowd at a championship game. The juggler suddenly clapped his hands loudly and stood still, 1 finger in front of his lips, and called for silence. And silence came. We stood looking at him, and he at us, in the most powerful and meaningful moment of quiet I've ever witnessed on Christmas Eve. The sermon was supposed to follow the juggler, and it did, but it was not I who spoke. We were all addressed by a sermon of eloquent, instructive silence. The silence which we absorbed the power of the vision we had of the impossible event we had wished into being. The silence in which we thought about our capacity to realize things we can sometimes only imagine. Some of the most wonderful things have to be believed to be seen, like flying reindeer and angels, like peace on earth, goodwill, hope, and joy. Real because they can be imagined into being. Christmas is not a date on a calendar, but a state of mind. Someone, I don't know who, began to sing Silent Night. As was our tradition, people on the first row lit their small candles from the big candle on the altar and then passed the flame on to the candles of those in the rows behind them. And the church filled with light. And we filed out of the church singing into the night and went home, taking our light with us. I love the story of the Christmas juggler. I mean, who would anticipate a juggler as part of a Christmas story? And the joy and the light and the laughter and the love that it brought to the people in the congregation that night was a more profound message probably than anything that he could have said. But I'm going to talk this morning anyhow. So the wheel as a sacred image is what we're experiencing all the time on our planet because we experience the medicine wheel as a part of our intrinsic life on this continent. And we know of the other wheels, the prayer wheel, the Tibetan prayer wheel, and so on, that are offered. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Love and you will be loved. Extend joy, and you will be more joyful. And John Hartford said, the whole universe is based on rhythms. Everything happens in circles, in spirals. So as we walk through our lives, we sometimes encounter, again and again, the same lessons. And when we work on ourselves, we think sometimes, okay, now I've accomplished that, I've learned that, I can let that go and move on. And then sometime later, here it comes back around again. And we think, I already handled that. Why is this in my life again? But our circles also move in a spiral. So sometimes we need to be ready to handle it at the next level. And as we move up the spiral, we re-encounter that lesson again, but at a higher level. Does this make sense? I'm saying to you? So when we look at our Christmas season, we're trying to remember here that all the Christmases that we've celebrated before are wonderful and memorable, but what about this one? What are we bringing of ourselves to this Christmas season, to this celebration, to this winter solstice, to this Yuletide? How do we come with love? Now, one of the interesting things about love is that it is so large within us, in our experience, that we sometimes lose track of everything else in the process of being in the now and experiencing the love. And it doesn't matter if it's a new puppy or a bicycle you got for Christmas or a surprise visit from a friend or family member. That moment of love consumes everything around it. Do you know what I mean? Yes? Going to the airport yesterday to pick up our family, there were tons of cars going to SFO yesterday, and I said to Amanda, everyone is going to pick up their relatives who have come to visit Grandma. This is our version of over the river and through the woods today, is everybody flying into SFO to come and visit Grandma. And we were in the midst of all those people when we went to pick up the family at the airport yesterday. And it's been such a delight just to have them with us from last night until this morning that I went off and left the Advent wreath at home, because I was immersed in love, right? And so I went out, I put my stuff in the car early, and I was ready to go, and I was so excited, and we got here early, and I'm setting everything up, and Amanda was carrying the stool up front that we've been putting the Advent wreath on. And I thought, oh, the bag is in my office at home. Now, this is one of the downsides of not having everything in one place and doing Christmas in a box. Doing Sunday in a box, is that you have to remember to bring everything with you. So I will bring the Advent wreath so that we can do all the lights on Wednesday, but we're not doing them this morning because love took over. That's just like Skye's song about, take a seat and let love run the show. And the thing about that is that with love, we're not in control. We have the choice to give forth that love. But what happens with it when we send it out into the world, that's not up to us. But this, of all the times of the year, is really the time for us to look around and really see the people that are around us, and to look through the appearances and the snags in conversation or connection, to be forgiving and look through that so that we can see that all of us want to be loved, that all of us want to be forgiven, that all of us want to come into that place where love can run the show and we feel like we can be totally safe and secure in that love, in giving and receiving it. Are you with me here? Does it make sense? So love also moves in circles. We talk in Science of Mind about the law of reciprocity, which works like a boomerang. It says that what we put out is going to return to us. That what you send out into the world, it's got your stamp on it, your vibration on it, and it can't help but come back to you in one way or another. So when we send out kindness or forgiveness or love or thoughtfulness or peace or generosity, whatever it is, even if you're just standing in the elevator with someone in a benevolent frame of mind, you're sending out an actual vibration. So let me say something about vibration right now, because everything is vibration, all right? Everything we see, everything we hear, everything we smell or taste It's all our sensory interpretation of vibration, yes? So when we measure our own heartbeat, the doctor doesn't have to open us up to stick the stethoscope inside. The doctor can put the stethoscope on the outside and pick up on the heartbeat because the vibration is transmitted right through the body. But it doesn't stop at the skin. That vibration gets subtly transmitted out into everything around us, all the way out into the universe. So we're constantly communicating from that place. Now, Deepak Chopra has made the comment that when you notice you're thirsty, by the time you notice you're thirsty, every cell in your body is thirsty. So I think likewise, when we have a kind thought, then the vibration that we're sending out from our hearts, that very heartbeat, that vibration that's going out is communicating that kindness or that benevolence or that love to the space around us, to the people around us, to whatever we're doing, the atmosphere that we're going into. You know, I donate platelets a lot at the blood bank, and I was thinking about this on my way to donate last time, like, what frame of mind am I in? Because whatever frame of mind I'm in, then as my platelets leave my body, whoever's in surgery or it's a cancer patient who's receiving those platelets, they're going to get that energetic vibration that I was carrying. So I want to go into it with a sort of a clean vibration. Do you know what I mean? So that can be given to the person who's receiving that. So, and on the other side of it, and I've talked about this before too, is that we can't be good givers unless we can also be good receivers. So at the same time, we want to be connected to and aware of the love that's being given or vibrated to us around us. So I want to invite you to take a moment right now and put your hands on your heart and breathe into your hands a couple of times. Just breathe love into your hands from your heart. And you do this at home too, because I can see you out there. And after you've done that, take your hands and shake that love out into the room. Just shake it out. Shake it out toward us if you don't have anybody in the room with you there when you're at home, okay? And now breathe in. Because what we want to do is take in a higher vibration of love and energy that's just been freely sent out by everybody in the room. And to take it into ourselves to infuse us for this day, for this week, so that we carry it into what we're doing, so that we recognize and welcome this turning of the year that's also happening in us. So when we come to this turning of the year, we're moving into the new year. We want to move forward into the new year at a higher vibration than we left the old one, because we just don't want to go and recreate 2021 all over again. Even if it was a great year, which not everybody would say, we want to send ourselves into 2022 even better. Meir Baba, the Jewish mystic, said, "True love is unconquerable and irresistible. It goes on gathering force until it transforms everyone it touches." Everyone it touches. Now, there are some people who operate in the world from this magical place of unconditional love. I knew one years and years ago. She was a woman who had had a near-death experience at one point, and when she came out of her surgery afterwards, and when she came out of her coma and finally came back from where she'd been, she had memory issues and a little aphasia, so she couldn't always find the words she wanted to say. And her granddaughter actually was Luke's babysitter when he was little. And I can remember she said, "We never tell Grandma if we're having a surprise party for somebody because she forgets and tells them." So this was a woman, though, who operated in unconditional love. She's the only person I think I've met who was as pure a soul in that unconditional love. She was never ruffled by anything ever again. She was never fearful. Her husband was not a really nice guy. He was cynical and critical, and she would just look at him with tremendous love, no matter what he said, and then go right ahead and do whatever she was doing or say whatever she was saying. She didn't let him stop her, but she also didn't let him interfere with her loving him. Now, that's a great challenge for most of us, but I think that if we can operate from a place where we give each other the benefit of the doubt, even in those moments when we feel impatient or frustrated, we can lift both of our vibrations in that process. Does this make sense? Yeah? Rumi, the Sufi mystic, said, "The heart is nothing but the sea of light, the place of the vision of God." So in other words, when we're looking at one another from that loving place, we're looking through the eyes of the heart rather than the eyes of the brain, which gets analytical and critical and so on. You know what I mean? Does your brain ever get critical? I mean, how many of you, now really, how many of you listen to Christmas carols and hear a version on the radio and think, that was awful? Why did that person ever record that song? Who told them to sing a Christmas song? That was awful. They should listen to so-and-so who does this song correctly, right? Because we've listened to these songs all our lives and we have ways that we like to hear them. And when somebody does something that's particularly wildly different or not so good in our estimation, we notice it and we might verbalize that or complain about it, right? So I've often said before, the first fight Amanda and I ever had was about how to put the lights on the Christmas tree. Did you know there's a wrong way to put lights on the Christmas tree? Well, we each knew that, and it was what the other was doing. Because we knew what was right because we had always done what our mothers did when the trees were decorated. And we now decorate our lights using a technique that neither of our mothers did, but that a friend introduced us to, which made more sense than what either of our mothers did. So we got over that first fight, you know. But imagine having a fight over something like that, which way the lights should go in the Christmas tree. Yeah. Teilhard de Chardin, who was also a mystic in the Christian tradition, he was a French priest, said this: "Love alone is capable of uniting living beings in such a way as to complete and fulfill them. For love alone takes them and joins them by what is deepest in themselves." And then he goes on to say, "Someday, after mastering the wind and the waves and the tides, we shall harness for God the power of love. And then, for the second time in history, man will have discovered fire." And we're still working on that discovery. But one of the things that's encouraging is seeing the little ways in which human beings make a difference for one another. It's not the big stuff usually. It's the little stuff that makes the difference. It's the gift you weren't expecting. It's the kindness of a stranger. It's the smile or the laughter of a child. It's the wiggling of a dog that's happy to see you. That is such a gift, that it makes such a difference in that moment. Do you know what I mean? So we are looking at this time of the year as the turning of the year also mirrors this experience of our soul turning toward the light. It's interesting to me that Christmas now falls on roughly the pagan holiday of Saturnalia, when the sun was reborn, S-U-N, right? It was very convenient to put it on the winter holiday where people were already celebrating the rebirth of light. So the Prince of Peace, who is a representative of the light, is supposed to have been born on Christmas Day. Now, we don't actually know when he was born, but the idea is that he was born on Christmas Day as the sun, S-O-N. However, we recognize in metaphysics and in Centers for Spiritual Living that all of us are sons and daughters of the infinite. So we too are bringers of the light, bringers of love. We are light bearers, or light warriors, or light workers in the world. And in this time then, our sneaky little job is to bring light and love into moments and circumstances and places where we're not seeing that shine quite so brightly. Do you know what I mean? So if somebody's having a down day, that you just offer them a little kindness. If somebody says something that irritates you, you just let it go and find a way to respond with some kind of kindness. Because that's what this turning of the season is about. Meister Eckhart says something that I quoted a few weeks ago that's like, what good is it to me if Mary is full of grace if I'm not also full of grace? What good is it to me if Mary brings forth her firstborn son if he is not also born in me in this season? The point isn't just to remember something that happened a long time ago. Not here, in this place. In this place, that's a symbol of the birth of light in us. And every time this season comes around, in the cycles of the year, in the circles of the year, every time this sacred circle comes back around to this place in the year, we're invited to go deeply into that place of love, to expand our hearts, to let our minds rest a little bit. They're real busy all year long. Let them rest a little bit and let love lead the way. Let it be the opening that we bring into this experience of the season. Because as we come back around to it again, we discover, I've been here before. And yes, this is new at the same time. T.S. Eliot said in Little Gidding, we shall not cease from exploration. We shall not cease from exploration. And the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. So we're essentially all on a journey home. If you believe in heaven, whatever comes after we leave the physical plane, after we leave these, walking spacesuits that we're in, when the spirit is liberated, when the soul moves forward, the soul is always turning toward the light, always turning toward the love, always turning toward home. So this season of the year, we get reminded. This season mirrors the turning of the soul toward home, toward the love and light. So like a homing beacon, we move toward that experience when we feel safe, when we feel secure enough to be vulnerable with our love. Then we open our hearts and we give it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be discerning about where it's safe to open your heart like that and where it isn't. Of course you should be. But give the moment the benefit of the doubt in this next couple of weeks. Give the moment the benefit of the doubt and see if you can bring more love into the moment, whether it's your server in the restaurant, your mail carrier, the Amazon guy coming to deliver your packages, whoever it is. See if you can just drop a little light into that interaction, into that sharing. And also, Ernest Holmes, the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, said the real secret is that everything moves in circles. Now, if you think about this, in the universe that we know, everything we know moves in an orbit. Everything moves in some rounded shape. It may be an ellipsis or something, but it's got a circular pathway that it goes on. Everything bends back upon itself, he says. What goes out must return. What is embodied within will complete its own circle. And if we wish to enlarge our experience, we must increase our capacity to understand, to feel, to embody, and to know. All right, so that leads me into this little story I want to close with this morning. Many years ago, I received this little mailer because I was on Alan Cohen's mailing list. And in this little mailer, he printed something he'd been sharing at Christmas gatherings called A Christmas Story by J. Frankston. Many years later, and I had read this in services to people, the edited version of it, and many years later, Amanda and I were, I think, in Fort Bragg at a Christmas festival. And here was J. Frankston and his wife selling the little booklets with this story in it. And I actually got to meet him and talk to him and get a copy of the booklet and even have him come and say something at a Sunday service at Christmas time after that. So this is his own story, J. Frankston. He says this: I enjoy Christmas. As a child, being Jewish, Christmas was something I felt deprived of. It was everyone else's holiday, and I felt left out. It was like a party I wasn't invited to. It's not the toys I missed, it's Santa Claus and the Christmas tree. So when I got married and had kids, I decided to make up for it. And then, not only did he do this with his own kids, but then he needed to do it some more. So he says, so I bought a bolt of bright red cloth, strips of white fur, and my wife made me a costume, inflatable pillows rounded out my skinny frame, and I located a mask maker, and he had just the thing for me, a rubberized Santa mask, complete with whiskers and flowing white hair. It was not the real thing, but genuine enough to live up to a child's dream of Saint Nick. When I tried it on, something happened to me. Looking at myself in the mirror, I felt like Santa. I became Santa. And so I played Santa for my children for 2.5 years, and to my total enjoyment. And when the third year rolled around, the Santa in me had grown into a personality of his own and needed more room than I had given him. So I sought to accommodate him by letting him do his thing for other children. My mind began to wonder, all those thousands of children who wrote to Santa Claus at Christmas time and mailed their letters, whatever became of them? One phone call to the main post office in New York City answered my question. As of the third week of November, the entire third floor of the 33rd Street Post Office handled these letters, and they were arranged in huge sacks under Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. The Santa in me went, ho, ho, ho. And we headed down to the post office, and there they were, thousands upon thousands of letters, with or without stamps, addressed to Santa Claus or Saint Nick or Kris Kringle, scribbled on wrapping paper or hastily written on pretty stationery, and I rummaged through them and laughed. Most of them were gimme, gimme, gimme letters. But the Santa in me heard a voice from inside the mail sack, and I continued going through the letters, one after the other, until I came upon one which jarred my consciousness. It was neatly written on plain white paper, and it said, Dear Santa, I hope you get my letter. I am 11 years old. I have 2 brothers and a baby sister. My father died last year, and my mother is sick. I know there are many kids poorer than we are. I want nothing for myself, but could you send us a blanket because Mommy is cold at night? Susie. I dug deeper into those sacks and came up with another 8 such letters, all of them calling out from the depths of poverty. And I took them with me and went straight to the nearest Western Union office and sent out a telegram. Got your letter. We'll be at your house. Wait for me. Santa. I knew I could not possibly fill the needs of all these children, and it wasn't my purpose to do so. But if I could bring them hope, if I could make them feel that their cries did not go unheard, that someone out there was listening. So I budgeted $150, and I went out and I bought toys. My first call took me to Corona in Queens. The letter had been from a Vincent Koski, and all it said was, Dear Santa, I am 10 years old and I am an only child. We've just moved to this small house a few months ago, and I have no friends yet. I'm not sad because I'm poor, but because I'm lonely. I know you have many things to do and people to see, and you probably have no time for me, so I don't expect you to come to my house or bring anything. But could you send me a letter so I know that you exist? My return telegram said, Dear Vincent, not only do I exist, but I'll be there on Christmas Day. Wait for me. Santa. I walked through the gate and up the front steps and rang the bell. A man opened the door. He was in his undershirt, and his stomach bulged out of his pants, and he gaped at me. Boje moje, he said in astonishment. That's Polish, by the way. And his hand went to his face. Please, he stuttered, please, the boy, at Mass, I go at church, I go get him, please wait. And he threw on a coat over his bare shoulders, and assured that I would wait, he ran down the street in the snow. The boy, Vincent, just stood there and looked at me. You came, he said. I wrote, and you came. He turned to his parents. I wrote, and he came. He repeated it over and over again. I wrote, and he came. When he recovered, I spoke with him about loneliness and friendship and gave him a chemistry set, which seemed to be what he would go for, and a basketball. Vincent thanked me profusely, and his mother, a heavy-set Slavic-looking woman, asked something of her husband in Polish. And my parents were Polish, so I speak a little and understand a lot. From the North Pole, I said in Polish. And she looked at me with astonishment. You speak Polish? She asked. Of course, I said. Santa speaks all languages. And I left them in awe and wonder. As the time went on, word got out about Santa Claus and me, and I insisted on anonymity. But toy manufacturers like Ideal, Mattel, and Remco sent me huge cartons of toys as a contribution to the Christmas spirit. So I started with 18 or 20 children and wound up with 120 door-to-door from Harlem to St. Albans from Christmas Eve through Christmas Day. On my last call, a few years ago, I knew there were 4 children in the family, and I came prepared. As I rang the doorbell, the house lit up with joy and laughter, and he's here, he's here. The door swings open, and they all reach for my hands and hold on. Hiya, Santa. Hiya, Santa. We just knew you'd come. These poor white kids all beaming with happiness, and I take each one of them on my lap and speak to them of rainbows and snowflakes and tell them stories of hope and waiting and give them each a toy. And all the while, there's this 5th child standing alone in the corner, a cute little girl with blonde hair and big blue eyes. When I'm through with the others, I turn to her and say, "You're not part of this family, are you?" She shakes her head sadly and whispers, "No." "Come closer, child," I say, and she comes a little closer. "What's your name?" "Lisa," she says shyly. "How old are you, Lisa?" 7. "Come sit on my lap." She hesitates, but she comes over and I lift her up and sit her on my lap. "Did you get any toys for Christmas?" I ask. "No," she says with puckered lips. So I take out this big, beautiful doll. "Here, do you want this doll?" "No," she says, and she leans over to me and whispers in my ear, "I'm Jewish." I nudge her and whisper in her ear, "I'm Jewish too. Do you want this doll?" And she's grinning from ear to ear and nods with wanting and desire and takes the doll and hugs it and runs out. And I feel Santa's lived with me and given me a great deal of happiness all those years. And now when Christmas rolls around, he comes out of hiding long enough to say, "Ho, ho, ho, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend." Yes. And isn't it the best thing of all that at this time of year, magic and miracles like that can happen because somebody gets an idea. And so if that can happen for one Jewish man who missed Santa Claus, then how much for each one of us to just take a moment to remember and extend kindness in the moment that we remember to whoever we're with. And if we're alone, to extend a little kindness to ourselves, because I know that this season can be stressful, and we're maybe the last people that we're good to sometimes at this time of year, so don't leave yourself out of the mix, all right? Now, I'd like to invite you to stand and join me in the morning affirmation. We will not do the candle lighting, but we will honor that it is the 4th Sunday of Advent. So please join me as I say this. Love is what I am made of and what I am here for. I open to being more loving and allowing myself to be loved today. Every encounter is an opportunity to exchange this love. And we honor that it is the 4th Sunday of Advent, the Sunday of love. You may be seated. Go ahead and sit down. So let's take a moment now to just ground this message within us in prayer. Take a breath. As we lift our attention to the presence of the infinite mystery, which some people call God, that infinite intelligence and love that permeates the universe, out of which everything and everyone comes, we know that that presence is right here, in this place. It is in the breathing in and out of love that we have given and received this morning. It is in the decorations, in the music, in the fellowship, in the food, in the lights. All of it is the presence of the infinite showing up as that to bring us what? To bring us joy, to bring us peace, to bring us love and hope. And so in this season of love, we claim that flame of love within our hearts is burning brighter than ever, that it is lighting our memory and our awareness throughout this week and next week so that we can bring love spontaneously into the moments that we inhabit and receive it spontaneously from everything and everyone around us. This turning of the season is a turning into greater love as our souls move closer to their journey home. And so we bless the walk together and separately. We bless the path. Whatever path we're on, they all lead to the same place. And so with gratitude, we send this prayer out, we let it go into the creative law of mind and spirit, which can only say yes, and brings it more and more into our experience. We receive it with gratitude. We let this prayer go into the heart of God where it always has been the truth of us and of this moment now. We simply let it go and we let it be so. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Now, this is our sacred time of offering. So just as I said that every gift that we give, every exchange that we do is an exchange of love, so too, the gifts we give in this way are also God in action. If you would like to text a donation, you can do that this morning. The number is up on the screen. You're welcome to do that. Just, put in the number and put in your dollar amount and it'll handle it for you. If you've given already, if you're on auto pledge and you've given already, that's great. We're going to bless those offerings also right now. Everything that's being given this morning and everything we receive throughout the week, we're blessing together with this offering blessing, which we're going to say together right now. So join me. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. And let's welcome Skye back right now. He's going to take it away for us.
Stretch your arms up in the air if you want to have a little new, deeper breath. Breathe in deep. Let that out. Welcome in the love this morning. And it's a little cold, but the warmth comes from our hearts, right? So feel into your heart. Put your hand on your chest for a moment. And feel the source of love within you. It comes from within your own body, within your own chest, within your own heart. Think for yourself. Do what you love. Think for yourself. Do what you love. If you can simply see what matters, then love will lead you there. You love the things you've always done. You love those things you've always done. If only you can see your history, then love will lead you there. Love will lead, oh, love will lead. Love I'm talking about, right? Your vision of tomorrow matters. Your vision of tomorrow matters. If everyone can see the picture, then love will lead us there. Love will lead, oh, love will lead. Love will lead us there. The world is changing. We see it around us. We feel it in our own hearts. Do you feel it this morning? Feel your life on the inside changing as things you used to count on are no longer the same. You have grown and spiraled to a new level. But you don't need to know what the right thing to do is next, because love is always leading and showing the way. There's water on the windows. It's cleaning off with you. Solutions everywhere. Love will lead us there.
Yes. So we, all of us together, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, do receive this offering with great gratitude, and we send it out into the world to be a transformative force of blessing everywhere that it goes, whether the recipients know it or not, beginning with us in this room. And so it is. All right. Now, if you're here with us for the very first time this morning, we're delighted that you are here. You're going to find back at this table right here at the back that there are welcome packets. There are envelopes there that say welcome on them. And inside of them, there is a blue card that looks like this that says welcome on top. If you fill it out and put it back at the table back there, we have a little gift for you, I hope. Yes, okay. If you turn it in back there, Amanda will give you a little gift. It's a booklet, and we will have you take that little book with you as our thank you gift for being here with us this morning. And we hope that you'll be back, and we'll see you often, and we'll be part of your spiritual family. We look forward to that. Also, I want to thank everyone this morning who made this morning possible. And we also, particularly this morning, didn't Leslie do a beautiful altar for us this morning? Absolutely gorgeous. And we also want to acknowledge, even though they're not here right now, the Masonic Center for getting the lights up for us. This is the very first Sunday we've had those lights, and we're really grateful for them. So let's just acknowledge everybody that has helped make this morning possible. And thank you to Skye Nelson once again as our morning musician. And I want to remind you that we do have a survey online right now. It's really easy to find. It's at surveymonkey.com/r/GoldenGateCSL. I want to encourage you, if you have not done it yet, to go and fill that out today. It's only online through tomorrow. And we really, really want your feedback. That will assist us greatly. So it's not a very long survey. It's easy to do. Please make sure that you do that today or early tomorrow, all right? We really appreciate that. And Wednesday night is our Yuletide celebration right here in this room. Karen Drucker will be here with some special musicians. I will be here. Bring your drum. Come at 6:30. We're going to start the drumming. We're going to be singing some carols. We'll have storytelling and candle lighting and all kinds of fun stuff that night. So come, bring the family, bring the relatives, drag people in from the street, whatever. And we'll do our candle lighting that night. It's very close to the Winter Solstice, which will have been the night before. So we're still pretty close to the longest night of the year when we do this. And if you would like to, we are receiving donations of sponsorship. If you want to do that, just give us a check today, and at the bottom of it in the memo, write Yuletide Celebration so that we know that's what that is to go toward, okay? And you can give those to Pat Sandry, who is back there, I believe. Pat Sandry, will you give a wave? Pat is the lady with the mask on right now, who's got her hand up back there. Look for Pat. You can give your check to her if you would like to help with sponsorship. Also, if you'd like to sign up to bring snacks for the event, the sign-up sheet is out in the lobby. You're welcome to do that. We would be happy to have that happen as well. If you have not made your declaration yet for your giving intention for 2022, that really helps us make a plan for the coming year. So unless we know, we have some idea what we can count on, it's hard for us to do that responsibly. So we encourage you to prayerfully make that commitment. You'll find that these commitment forms are back on the back tables also, and you can fill that out and close it up in the envelope and just turn that in to Paula even, and we'll get those back to the office so that they get noted for next year. But you can also do it online on our website. So if you go to ggcsl.org, look under the donate button, and you will find the 2022 giving intention form, and you can fill it out online if you want to do that. Also, our music director for another week, Karen Drucker, is doing a sacred singing to bring in the new year. All of the information's up here on the slide. It costs $20.22, of course, for this. And this is from actually 8 to 9:30. It's not at midnight. But this will be an opportunity to tune yourself up for going into the new year with singing, prayer, meditation, and journaling. Also, Leslie Giannetti, one of our famous prayer practitioners, who's also a beloved teacher, is going to be teaching a brand new Science of Mind class beginning January 20th. It's an 8-week class called The Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment, which is a fancy name for our form of prayer. And you do have to have completed Foundations class to take that class, but you can register online now. Just go under the Classes tab on our website, and you'll find the registration. And in February, we have a class coming up that Posey Lyon, one of our other prayer practitioners, is going to be teaching that does not have any prerequisites, and it's called Money, Metaphysics, and the Meaning of Life. That's also 8 weeks. It's a lot to cover in 8 weeks, I think, but she intends to do it. And I encourage you to explore that one too. Registration for that will start in January. And then, of course, we're looking at the Marin Resilient Neighborhoods process to participate in. If you're a resident in Marin County, you can participate in their free workshops. There are 5 meetings over 10 weeks. There are 2 different sections beginning in January, and you can go online to their website and sign up. But you can also find out more about that by talking to Ellen Nicosia or Arthur Young here or Deborah Irwin at the back. They all 3 can give you more information about resilient neighborhoods and how this works. And then in January, we're going to start giving you a little ecological tip every single week. That's something you can go home and do to impact global warming in a positive way. So now, that's all the announcements. Would you like to applaud? Always nice when the announcements are complete, isn't it? Yeah. And so I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room and bring me the prayer box. This prayer box is always available before and after services, and you can put in a request anytime. Our practitioners will pray over it for the full week. And I always tell people that the minute you let your prayer request go, it's already in action. But they will pray over it all week as well. And then all of these people in their stoles are licensed practitioners here. Some of them are new. Some of them have been practitioners for more than 20 years. So those who were available at the table, they'll be over here after the service, and they are available to pray with you. So if you would like a prayer, one of them will take you into a private area and do a prayer for you. So if you have a heavy heart today for any reason, be sure and visit them, and they'll do a prayer for you before you leave. So you can leave with a lighter heart, prepared to live in love this week. So I invite you to join us as we pray for you in this chamber of prayer. So as you close your eyes, you're going to hear prayer happening all around you. And just take in this intention of love for your holiday season right now. And so it is. Dana, thank you. Now I invite you to stand and join us for the benediction and the closing song. So we speak this benediction together as we say, I now walk. Oh, yes. So that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted. And whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For a spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. And our closing song is I Release. So you know this one.
I release, I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. One more time. I release, yeah, I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. One more time. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only